Sometimes your style is not really something you decide on yourself. It's something that's shaped by life. Every change, every season, every detour adds a new layer to it. And maybe that's how it's supposed to be. Art becoming a reflection of how you've lived rather than just what you've planned. My name's Ruth. I'm a mixed media artist from Texas, and I currently live in a camper tucked away in the woods with my dog Mia and my cat Pierre. Right now I'm kind of in the middle of remodeling this trailer into a functional and inspiring art studio. But life has been kind of hectic, and it's not going as fast as I thought it would. But I guess that's how most things go in life. You have a timeline in your head, and then reality just decides to take its own sweet time. Honestly, I've been feeling that a lot lately with my online presence. I've been on a few platforms for a little over 2 years now. And it just, every time I feel like things are picking up, the algorithm just kind of drops me again. And it's really like a battle of mental fortitude to keep putting pieces of your heart out into the world in that vulnerable kind of way, and it just feels like it's all for nothing sometimes. Almost like, shouting into the void, if you will. I actually haven't posted a video in quite a while because of this, because I feel like I need to bring y'all the best version of myself, and it's really hard to bring that version of myself to the table when I'm kind of feeling the discouragement especially heavily. But I have to remember, I think the lack of traffic is kind of like a blessing in disguise, because it's given me a little bit of breathing room without the pressure of having to please a bunch of people to kind of like experiment with my style a little bit. And if you do follow me on social media, thank you so much. You may have noticed that my style is not necessarily something you see every day. So I'm gonna do my best, without going on too many rabbit trails, to tell y'all kind of a bit of the story of how I arrived at that style, and kind of some of what my current goals are, as well as some of the struggles that I've been facing. My art journey actually started in a completely different place, namely nutrition sciences. I thought I wanted to be a dietitian. I thought I wanted to serve people by helping them nourish their bodies in that way. And eventually that desire to nourish people kind of carried over into my art and my style. I really had a message on my heart that wasn't quite concrete yet, and that I didn't really know how to convey at the time. But I had always kind of received feedback that I needed to eventually do something with my art. I had always drawn, I had always painted. I had done a lot of like random nature scenes and sketches. I had practiced a lot, but never quite knowing what I was practicing for. And through all of that, I always felt that my creativity was pretty intertwined with my relationship with Jesus. The more I abided in him, the freer and more inspired my art became. So I had all this in mind. But one of the first milestones in me really discovering what I wanted to create in the long run was when I worked on a farm. I got to see sustainability and the effects of getting to work with your hands, and the psychological effects of being outside all the time. I got to see all that firsthand. And at this job, when my boss was getting married, I really wanted to paint a wedding present for her, and I was gonna do it on canvas. But then a mutual friend, who is also a carpenter, brought me one of those dulled out circular saw blades that he wasn't using anymore. And he was like, "Hey, have you considered painting on one of these?" Well, I hadn't. But as I was thinking about it, the idea kind of dawned on me. I had done some pyrography before, which is like the wood burning with the hot iron pin. And I wasn't terrible at it, so why not try painting on that saw blade and then continuing the image onto the material that the blade was designed to cut? So I did, and people started responding to it. It was invariably positive feedback. But even apart from all of that, it felt very symbolic to me. It's like this paradoxical harmony between the natural and the industrial. And it kind of allowed me to express something that I had been trying to say for years but didn't really know it. I had always kind of had this heart for conservation and nature and animals. I love seeing people be creative, but a lot of the creativity that I've seen in society has been more toward like what makes people more money rather than what offers solutions for living a more sustainable lifestyle. So I started doing this more, and I actually entered one of them into a show, and it sold within 2 hours. I may have underpriced that slightly. That piece is very hard to part with. So if you're out there and you're watching this and you have fire and water, I hope you're treating it well. I hope you're giving it a good, loving home. So it turns out this style was doubly relevant. I was able to reflect back on my roots in the beginning stages of my art career, because little did I know that I was going to start working as a carpenter's apprentice to make ends meet and learn some pretty valuable life skills along the way. It all ties together. So my style was kind of developing more and more, but fast forward to the fateful year of 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic hit. In my boredom, I started picking up aerial lyra, which is the hoop that hangs from the ceiling that you do acrobatics on. I had always kind of been drawn to elegant shapes within a ring. It's always felt very symbolic to me. There's just something about a circle that has no beginning and no end that feels very eternal. So as I got bolder in my artwork, I started incorporating that symbolism as kind of a reflection of broken perfection and the longing for the complete perfection on the other side of heaven, which certainly added deeper layers of meaning to artwork with themes like conservation, social justice, and creativity in a very fallen world. But I haven't really described how the ocean theme kind of came into play. I had always been drawn to the water. My dad and I went saltwater fishing quite often, and I grew up fishing in my grandfather's boat. But the connection deepened later when I started working on a tall ship and was kind of introduced to the sailing industry. I remember walking to the top of the gangway one day and just looking up. The biggest sail on the ship had just been set, and the sunlight was coming through it with all of the shadows behind it. And I just stood there in awe and couldn't move. It was so beautiful. And a lot of my maritime pieces came from that, and had the trademark of the shadows coming through the backlit sails. And from there, as I began spending more time on the water, I fell in love with what the sea represented and what you could communicate with themes from the ocean. Themes like grace or restoration or power, or like the cleansing properties of water. I started to see how water and the way that we interact with it, especially how people lived in coastal towns. It is very difficult to live in such close proximity to such an untamed aspect of creation and not learn to be attuned to its rhythms or have respect for it. And in my artwork, I really enjoyed the ability to reflect on what living in harmony with creation and each other would look like. And so the paradoxical harmony that I talked about before kind of came into play here. So this was all coming together more and more. But as I kept creating and kept exploring what a style with this theme could look like, and I got bolder, I started including a whole lot more of my writing into my art. Bits of poetry, journal excerpts, that sort of thing. I have been journaling my entire life. By age 25, I had filled over 60 notebooks with prayers, reflections, grief, informative moments from life. And weaving those kind of words and texts into my work finally felt like it was starting to have a heartbeat, and a whole other dimension was added to my work. It gets my heart beating faster just thinking about it. So for the first time in my life, I feel like the work that I am creating is at least on the cusp of doing the weight on my heart justice, and continues to be shaped by my time at the coast and on the water. To this day, I am still experimenting and becoming comfortable with creating what's on my heart to create, even though it's a little different from what you normally see. So right now, what I'm working on is expanding my portfolio for a little show that I have upcoming next year, and trying to grow my Patreon print club, and turning this camper into an art studio that actually feels like home. I'm really looking forward to that. To be honest, living in a construction zone can kind of get to you sometimes. But one day I would love to take my studio to sea, to sail, to travel, and to partner with nonprofits that care for people and this beautiful world we live in. It is taking a lot longer than I thought to get where I want to be, but I'm really learning to appreciate slow growth, because the work that I am creating now feels more honest and authentically me than anything that I've created before. So if there's one thing that I want you to take from this, it is my belief that your most authentic style in whatever work that you do develops as you develop as a person and live life fully. And it's not something to be rushed. Authenticity can't be forced. By definition, it would no longer be authentic. Whatever your work is, whatever kind of artist you are, let your style be shaped by life. Experience life fully. Notice the little things. Hear the wind in the trees. Go to the beach. Walk on the shore. Notice the little tiny seashell next to your pinky toe. If you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and explore other ways you can get involved in my work in the description box below. I really hope this has inspired you, and thank you so much for your support, and I will see y'all next time. I'm sorry.